just became a father, so I got 2 grandchildren now.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah, I got 2 granddaughters. I got a grandson on the way.
Wow.
King's about to have a son.
King's about to have a son. Congrats.
Yeah. And I told him I'm gonna make this the greatest gangster of all times. I will raise this child to torture you the way that you tortured me. I promise you, there will be an indictment in this young one.
I said a while ago when T.I.'s son King was getting a lot of flack and a lot of heat in the media, that to me he just looked like a young kid that wanted to prove to his father that he was a man too.
King Harris's legal mess just hit a whole new level after Tiny slapped T.I. with divorce papers. And this time, she's dead serious. The breaking point? T.I. straight up disowned King after that wild arrest, and Tiny wasn't about to stand by quietly anymore. What's even crazier is that T.I. isn't even fighting the divorce or trying to patch things up. He's letting it all fall apart. Now, the family is spiraling out of control, with everyone pointing fingers, blaming each other, and the drama tearing the household apart. Fans are asking, who's really responsible here? The parents who spoiled King with everything money could buy, or King himself, who tossed it all away chasing a reckless gangster image? To many, Tiny and T.I. breaking up feels shocking. They've been together for decades, surviving scandal after scandal, and somehow always found their way back to each other. But behind the scenes, cracks had been there for years, and the final straw came in October 2024 when King's arrest threw the whole family into a storm of headlines. That night, King was leaving a gas station in his BMW, driving reckless like he didn't have a care in the world when he nearly slammed into a cop car. And if that wasn't bad enough, what happened after the traffic stop made everything explode even more. As soon as officers walked up to the car, the smell of weed hit them instantly. And from that moment, things only went downhill. Then came the real shocker. Cops spotted a gun tucked in King's waistband. At that moment, the whole vibe shifted, and it was obvious this wasn't gonna end smoothly. They snatched the gun, slapped cuffs on him, and when they ran his name, the truth came crashing out. King had an outstanding warrant from 2022 for overspeeding, driving with a suspended license, and even a DUI. It was like all his bad choices caught up to him in one night. If he had just stayed low-key, he might have slipped away with a ticket. But instead, his past came storming back to ruin him. And once that arrest footage leaked online, the internet went wild, dragging him from every angle. What stood out most in that video? King's face told the whole story. He knew he had finally crossed the line this time. No cocky attitude, no tough guy act, just a young man realizing he might have gone too far.
All right, I need you to step out the vehicle.
What you want to do? You want to take my gun off my head?
Yes, sir.
There's one in the head.
Does your buddy have one as well?
What's the guns in here?
All right, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
There's no safety. You got to take the
There's no safety.
take the
Okay.
clip out.
Well, I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. I'm just set this down right here. Dude, step out
Get
for
out
me.
now.
Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me. All right, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
You straight?
I'm gonna be at the church. All right, I appreciate you being cool, man. We're just gonna take a look at this information, make sure it's valid.
I ain't sure this.
Just take the step to the side for me.
For once, he actually tried to play it smart, cooperating with the cops. And honestly, for someone like King, that must have taken everything he had. We've all seen him showing off online, loud and reckless. But this video was nothing like the King we see on social media. Even the officer handling him admitted he was surprised by how calm King stayed. But that didn't save him. He still got booked into DeKalb County Jail before being transferred to Pickens once the old warrant was recalled. And when the clip went viral, fans flooded the comments, and they did not hold back. One fan went for the jugular, calling King a trust fund prison punk. And the internet ate it up, with that comment racking up likes like crazy. Another person came in swinging, blasting him for flexing his parents' fame and money while pretending to be some street-bred hustler. But the drama didn't just end with King. The fallout ripped straight through his parents' marriage, and this time the cracks turned into a full-blown collapse. T. I tried to play the role of the heartbroken dad, but Tiny? She wasn't buying it for a second. She came out swinging with receipts, and in her divorce filings, she flat out listed King's spiral as the final straw. What shocked people even more was that I didn't fight back. No push, no attempt to fix things. He basically shrugged like his job was done, blaming King for ruining his own life. It sounds cold, but the truth is, I had been warning everyone for years. Back in 2022, when King started going viral for his reckless behavior, T.I. went online practically begging him to slow down. He told fans that his son was headed down a dangerous path and that if he didn't change, jail would be waiting for him. He even admitted that he had been telling Tiny and King's grandmother to keep a closer eye on him before it was too late. And this wasn't just fatherly talk. T.I. spoke from experience as a man who had already done time and knew the price of living reckless. He didn't want to see another young man crash out, especially not his own son.
Hitting me and getting in my comments, telling me what to tell King, okay? I know my son. Think I ain't spoke to my son? Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and his grandmamas? His going to prison. If you got to keep this up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's gonna turn out.
But Tiny wasn't having it. Instead of sympathy, she turned those same words into ammo. In her filings, she claimed T.I. hadn't been the father he pretended to be, that if he had truly been present and firm with King, their son never would have spun out like this. And Tiny wasn't lying when she pointed fingers at T.I. The truth is, T.I. was in and out of prison from the moment Tiny got pregnant with King, and by the time he was finally home for real, King was already used to life without a real father figure. His so-called presence didn't mean much either, because word is, T.I. allegedly shipped King off to live with his grandmother most of the time. King himself once admitted that even though his parents had money, he didn't grow up feeling rich because he spent most of his childhood at Grandma's house. And here's the kicker. He claimed the only times he even got to stay in his parents' home was when cameras were rolling for their reality show. Imagine that, only being invited in when it was time to put on a family act for TV. With an environment like that, it's no wonder King started looking for trouble on the outside. Every stunt he pulled dragged him closer and closer to a prison cell. And one of the wildest moments that proved just how far gone he was came during that infamous Waffle House meltdown in 2022. What set it off? A worker messed up his order by tossing on some pickles he didn't even want. That tiny mistake was enough to make King snap, launching into a screaming match like the world owed him something. But instead of walking away, he whipped out his phone, filmed the whole scene, and blasted it all over social media. The reaction? Brutal. Instead of looking hard, fans dragged him as nothing more than a spoiled brat with zero self-control, and people started questioning why T.I. ever let his son run so wild in the first place. So when T.I. went online making that warning video about King, Tiny was heated. In her eyes, all that fatherly advice should have been happening years ago, not when their son was already spiraling out of control. For a short while, things between them seemed calmer, but T.I.'s disappointment in King was eating at him, and eventually, it blew up in public. The breaking point came during an Atlanta Falcons game when King and T.I. got into a heated argument that turned physical, right there in the stands. It all started when King claimed he didn't grow up with privilege, and that pushed T.I.'s buttons instantly. He jumped in to set the record straight, reminding King that he had grown up with every advantage, basically saying, "Don't act like you came from nothing when you were raised with a silver spoon." But King wasn't backing down. Next thing you know, fists were flying between father and son. The footage was insane. I looked ready to forget he was dealing with his own kid and actually square up like it was a street fight. Within hours of the clip hitting the internet, it went viral with thousands of likes and endless comments flooding in. Some fans actually praised T.I., saying he should have busted his behind. This discipline was long overdue. Others added, when you don't check the problem will check you. And many more simply said, pray for their family. But Tiny, she was furious. She couldn't stand seeing her son humiliated like that in front of the world. And when she came home and learned that T.I. had gone even further, kicking King out of the house to learn how to survive on his own, that was the final straw. Tiny felt I had crossed the line, and the fallout cracked their marriage wide open, pushing her closer than ever to cutting him off for good. Another bombshell Tiny dropped in those divorce papers? She dragged T.I.'s history of cheating and his violent past straight into the light. For years, she watched him step out on their marriage, only for him to spin the same tired story about how he was changing. But those lies piled up higher and higher, and by the time King spiraled into his own chaos, Tiny wasn't just furious at her son, she was staring at T.I. and realizing the cycle had never been broken. That's why she finally cut him loose. What crushed Tiny the most was realizing King wasn't even blazing his own trail. He was following T.Y.'s exact footsteps. The same jail stints that once gave T.I. his tough guy image had now become the very blueprint King was crashing headfirst into. So when T.I. turned his back and disowned King after that arrest, Tiny lost it, because in her eyes, he wasn't rejecting his son, he was rejecting his own reflection. That's exactly why those divorce papers slammed on the table, and it all exposed just how desperate King really is for his father's approval. Look at the way he's constantly flashing guns online, trying to live up to an image. After that arrest video blew up, the internet had a field day, with some people claiming King purposely let himself get caught just to earn jail stripes and boost his street cred. Others even argued he finally proved himself as the rugged persona he's been chasing for years. And a chunk of fans believe it all boils down to one thing: King's hunger for respect and recognition from his father. And honestly, it might have worked, because people couldn't help but remember that wild moment when T.I. and Boozy had to check their sons live on camera. King and Boozy's son, Tootie Raw, were supposed to be shooting a music video, but instead of focusing on the music, they turned it into a gun show, flashing weapons like they were in a trap house. That's when the dad stepped in. You could hear the disappointment dripping from T.Y.'s voice as he confronted King, asking why he was so obsessed with looking tough when he should have been paying attention to the women around instead. What followed was a full-on lecture, and this time T.I. wasn't playing. He laid it out straight. One slip up with those guns, one illegal move, and their lives could be over. Both T.I. and Boozy looked dead serious, and the clip showed just how far they were willing to go to try and reel their sons back in. On the surface, it looked like T.I. was desperate to teach his son the hard truth, that the road he was on only led to a jail cell. But when Tiny caught wind of the video, she was livid. Not because she supported King flashing guns, far from it. She was furious that T.I. had blasted their son's business in public like that. To her, he was way too late. King wasn't doing anything new, just mimicking the same reckless behavior he'd seen his father glorify for years. But the final straw for Tiny came with King's baby mama drama. When T.I. hopped on a podcast and casually announced he was about to be a grandfather again, thanks to King, Tiny nearly lost it. To her, it sounded like T.I. was co-signing their son's reckless choices instead of holding him accountable. And that, more than anything, made her feel like T.I. was enabling the very chaos that was tearing their family apart. The baby mama situation was messy from the jump. And not just because King was young. Rumors started swirling that his baby's mother, Big Nana, was way older than him. And some even claimed she only linked up with King to secure a bag. People online said he was too immature to see what was really going on, but King, he didn't care one bit. He was hyped about the whole thing, proudly stepping into the father role like he had something to prove. When their son was born in November 2024, King was over the moon, posting, bragging, and showing off like he had finally found his purpose. He leaned all the way into fatherhood, even dropping a track called Dear Son, where he rapped about stepping up as a dad. He captioned the post, November 5th, 8:09 a.m. Welcome, King Jr. Time to take over. For a moment, it actually looked like King was changing. Like fatherhood had calmed him down and maybe even forced him to grow up a little. Fans thought they were seeing a new side of him, and Tiny herself couldn't ignore the shift. After everything, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, King was finally ready to turn things around. The wildest part in all this? For a brief moment, Tiny actually saw hope, watching King step up as a present father, breaking the cycle and correcting the very mistakes T.I. had made when King was just a baby. But the timing couldn't have been worse, because while King was online flashing his proud dad side, that arrest footage was still circulating everywhere, reminding the world that his legal mess was far from over. I tried to play the supportive father in public, but behind the scenes, he couldn't hide his disappointment for long. And for Tiny, that was the ultimate betrayal. She might have overlooked the cheating, the prison stints, even the scandals. But the fact that T.I. was so ashamed of his own son that he didn't even want to live under the same roof with him, that shattered her completely. So when those divorce papers finally hit, nobody was shocked. It was the final blow to a marriage that had been crumbling for years. Tiny is done. Done covering, done protecting, done saving face for T.I. And now, the only question left is this. What will T.I. do next? Because if he stays silent with Tiny the same way he stayed silent with King, this family saga might already be over for good. And now, I want to hear from y'all. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.